This is not a tornado. It is a meteorological phenomenon called a dust devil. It is generated by a stream of hot air that rises in a spiral, and it is very powerful because the hot air rotates around, leaving in the center of the vortex a low-pressure zone that is then filled by cold, high-pressure air, feeding the vortex. Unlike a tornado, which forms in large storm systems called supercells, a dust devil is usually harmless to people. However, they can be very dangerous for paragliders because they can appear in takeoff and landing areas. If a paraglider pilot is connected to their equipment during takeoff and a strong dust devil grabs them, it can lift them uncontrollably into the air. The same can happen when a pilot is landing and enters one of these vortices. That is why the following recommendations must be followed. 1. Connect your paraglider risers at the end, right before taking off. If you are going to take off in an area where dust devils form, you should connect to the paraglider only right before launching and avoid being connected for too long. We must put on our harness, then lay out the paraglider, make sure the lines are not tangled, and right before taking off, connect the risers. We must avoid being connected to the risers for a long time because if a strong dust devil grabs us, we will be in serious trouble. 2. Move away from the mountain and keep a safe distance. You must avoid flying close to mountains if there is dust devil activity. When flying in dynamic or thermodynamic conditions, we tend to fly very close to the mountains to climb along them. However, if we spot dust devils in the flying area, we must move away and try to fly over the valley, looking only for thermals that are far from the mountain. 3. Pay attention to wind intensity. Dust devils form when we have a combination of strong thermals and strong wind. Therefore, we must be especially careful on very windy and sunny days. If we see that the wind increases rapidly, the ideal thing is to go land immediately, or if we haven't taken off yet, simply cancel the flight. 4. Gather the paraglider quickly by grabbing the fabric. If we notice that a dust devil is approaching us, we must run toward the paraglider and pull it by gathering the fabric together. We must avoid pulling only the brakes or the risers because that could cause the paraglider to inflate. Also, if the dust devil catches the paraglider, it will be useless to pull the lines or the risers because it will drag us anyway. The only way to avoid that is by holding the entire paraglider. The same thing happens when we land in extremely strong wind. We must run toward the paraglider and grab the fabric, then pull it. It is useless to pull the brakes or the risers to kill the wing in extremely strong wind. 5. Observe the landing area. When we are landing, due to our proximity to the ground, we are in a vulnerable situation regarding dust devils. We can minimize the risk by carefully observing where we are going to land. If we see dust, sand, grass, or straw spinning around, it is an indicator of a dust devil, and we must avoid landing in that area or in its path. However, we must also be aware that there are completely invisible dust devils, as they pass over terrain that does not lift particles into the air. 6. Do not hesitate to use your reserve parachute. A modern and properly packed reserve parachute can open in 4 seconds. Enough time to save our lives if a dust devil catches us at low altitude. So if you entered a dust devil and lost control of the paraglider, throw the reserve immediately, because the low altitude and short time you have are working against you. 7. And lastly, do not get overconfident. All these recommendations can help us reduce or minimize the risk of entering a dust devil, but this will always be a latent risk in paragliding. Unfortunately, we fly a flexible wing that can collapse or close. While most accidents are caused by pilot errors or procedure mistakes, there is always a possibility of suffering an accident due to external factors, and dust devils are responsible for many of these incidents. If you know another recommendation to avoid a dust devil, write it in the comments. And if you liked this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.